Hello, everyone. This is Jay Dobbins, your host of the Marvel DC Universe Fan Club. We are now at episode 48, and I'll be discussing my review on Dark Tower, starring Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. So, I just saw Dark Tower later on this evening. Uh, early this evening, of course. And I must say, I thought it was very decent. I give it a 8.9 out of 10, and I also give it a 89.9 out of 100. So, I'll discuss and I'll just explain why. So, as those who don't know what Dark Tower is, or what it's about, uh, or what it's based on, just want to let you know it's based on the Stephen King books. Stephen King is best known for his books such as It, um, Tommy Knockers, Sleepwalkers, and of course my all-time favorite, Dreamcatcher. I believe he also wrote Christine as well. Um, let's see, I'm trying to think what else. Oh, 1408. I think he wrote a book on that. So he's best known for, those books, of course. So, yep, Dreamcatcher's my all-time favorite. Um, I can't think of any other books that he has written besides those. But yeah, Dark Tower, that's more. I think it's called. Yeah, it's more. It sounds more entertaining than the other books that Stephen King has written in the past. Um, let's see. Oh, right. Also, the graphic novels have been illustrated and written. Of course, they're based on the Stephen King books, but Marvel are the ones who are doing the graphic novels, of course, based on the books. So I do plan on collecting those later on, so that way I'll know more about the Dark Tower series, since Marvel is doing the graphic novels, of course, illustrating the graphic novels. So, and of course, writing them based on the books. So, but yeah, I'll talk about the movie, of course. I like the concept art, of course, of the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower comic books, of course, like the Dark Tower in the comic books, are far different from the Dark Tower in the movie. Now, the movie, on the other hand, let's just say that the Dark Tower in the movie looks pretty interesting. I like how it was done, drawn out, presented, of course. So, but one thing I do know for sure, like the gunslinger's role in the story, is that they have to defend the Dark Tower. In the movie, if the Dark Tower falls, the gunslinger's world, and of course Earth, will be how can I say it? Will be taken over by evil. Evil pretty much would terrorize both worlds, Earth and of course the gunslinger's world. So you gotta pretty. So his job is to make sure that that tower does not fall. And of course, the man in black. Also, his name is Walter, of course, which is the man in black, played by, of course, Matthew McConaughey. So his goal was to uh, take over. How can I say, the universe, or all worlds, including Earth, by tearing down the tower. So, um, Sorry, sorry. So his goal is to tear down a tower, and he needs and the tower can be torn down by the minds of children. So he's been gathering children, of course, and using them using them as a power source to destroy the tower. They have, I guess, put a dent in the tower, but you know, it's there. Let's just say the children were not powerful enough to fall, so they were looking for more and more children, of course. And then, oh, the gunslinger Roland, played by Idris Elba. Let's just say he had several altercations with the um, Man in Black, Walter. So I guess they fought each other a couple of times, and neither one of them were able to successfully kill the other. So what happened was that the gun, the Roland, the gunslinger, him and his, he's the last of his kind. He's the last of the gunslingers, of course. And well, it was him, and then it was of course his father. His father was by his side to the very end, and then Walter came in later on and told him to stop breathing, therefore killing Roland's father. So, Roland wanted vengeance against Walter, the Man in Black, of course. So he was, he like when after he killed his father, he shot him in the back. So he shot him. He was aiming at Walter's head, and then Walter somehow didn't even turn around. He just reached. He just pretty much caught the bullet that was aimed for the back of his head, pretty much. So he caught that bullet and just kind of just looked at it. So making a promise that he was going to destroy his world and of course other worlds if he successfully tears down the tower. So now you had Roland's quest for revenge, but then you also have the boy uh, who's had visions pretty much, and everyone thought he was crazy, but he was draw he had drawings of the Man in Black, his base, Roland, the gunslinger, and of course the tower and a map of the tower because you have all these worlds and the tower is pretty much at the center of those worlds. Tear it down, chaos will evil will rain chaos upon all other worlds, including Earth, that the boy was in, pretty much. Um, so uh, of course, he has dreams. He's doing drawings, and the skin people. He called them the skin people, who are pretty much without the skin, are like rats or whatever. So they have like they call it sewn skin or whatever. So they wear masks or whatever to look human. But you see like the little scars on the back of their necks that would show that they're not human. They are the skin people that the boy was calling them. So turns out his parent or his mother tried to send was paying money for a shrink, and then turns out that didn't do good. So there was also a institution that was supposed to help people like him. But then you find out later on that the people who are transporting the kids to the institution are the skin people. So he discovered that the two people that worked for the institution were the skin people. So he pretty much locked himself in the bathroom and pretty much escaped the apartment. The One of the skin people ran after him, and then both of them ran off after him later on. So he outsmarted them and kind of lost they pretty much lost his trail. He eventually finds a portal that was located. It was pretty much it looked like Roland's home. So he was wondering where it was at, and then somebody online told him that it was located in Brooklyn, New York, because the where the boy lives, in his world, everything takes place in New York City, while Roland's world takes place, I guess, somewhere in the desert. So, but yeah, turns out he was there was a connection pretty much. So the boy finds finds the house. Turns out there's I guess some type of machine or terminal or whatever. He types in the numbers that he remembered or drawn that he written in one of his drawings, which is 1919. It opens the door to a portal to Roland's world, which he pretty much goes to. Roland discovers him later on, um, and lets him know, okay, this is where he's from. Like, okay, I've had dreams about him, you, and here's a drawing of you. But later on, Roland didn't believe him, but after seeing the drawings, he later on did believe him. So, but then he said something about the Man in Black because that pretty much got Roland's attention because he was ignoring him at first. So, but later on, um, they do run into some trouble later on. The Man in Black, turns out the Man in Black creates illusions, and they find, they had to search for their weakness. So he pretty much knew the boy's weakness, which was his father, who had passed away. Um, and then of course, he tried to use the same tricks on Roland, which didn't work. He was the only gunslinger who pretty much could resist any of Walter, the Man in Black's spells. Unfortunately, his father wasn't able to resist the spell or fight it, but Roland was always successful. So he was annoyed by, Walter was very annoyed by that. So he tried to he used it on the boy, and it worked on him. But then later on, Roland saved him. So, of course, they later on find a portal, find another base or village that has a portal that would allow Roland and the boy to go to his world, the boy's world, which is in New York City, of course. Um, of course, he's like, hey, do you have guns and bullets in your world? And of course, the boy's like, oh, you're gonna like Earth. So, oh yeah. Wait a minute. Before I even continue to the rest of this, um, I should have said this earlier. Spoiler alert. If you have not seen the film, The Dark Tower, I strongly suggest you don't listen to the rest of this. So, you've been warned. Okay, and then, so, back to the story. Okay. So, as they were go to Earth, and of course, later, because during the trouble they got into with one of the monsters, and of course the Man in Black, um, Roland was wounded. But then you find out later on he has some kind of ability. Besides being an expert marksman, he has the ability to heal faster. So turns out, as a gunslinger, he, last of his kind, he does have an ability. Um, the boy goes to his mother's, finds out that, I guess, her mother's boyfriend, of course, her mother is, deceased, unfortunately. So turns out the boy was what is that? A seeker or something. It starts with an S. I can't remember. But he can't use that ability, otherwise Walter would track him. So he could, he tried not to use his ability as much, but he does. Also, he like like Walter later on finds the boy and captures him. So then, of course, Roland comes in, comes in to save the day. Uh, Actually, there was some good, action. There was a good action sequence, of course. Turns out he's very good at, he was, they didn't call him the gunslinger for nothing. He was quickly, reloading his gun whenever he ran out of bullets. He was very fast, very good, I must say. The choreography and as far as him like shooting his guns, that I say the choreography on that was it was very good, excellent, of course. Um, I say Idris Elba did not disappoint. So, uh, but then of course the final battle was oh, when they captured the boy, they pretty much they found out that they didn't need the rest of the children to their minds to destroy the power. They only needed his. So he was pretty much the jewel for Walter, of course, the Man in Black. So they only needed him, and his mind was the key to tear down that tower. So as he's tearing down, as they're using his mind and the machine to tear down a tower, they were almost successful. As you can see that they had strange red cloud, got everybody's attention, of course. So also, which was creating all those earthquakes from in Roland's world and the boys' world. So yeah. Oh, Matthew McConaughey did. He put up quite a fight, of course, but later on, he was trying to shoot. He was shooting at him, and of course, the Walter, played by Matthew McConaughey, of course, was catching all the bullets, and he was using rocks and stones. And then Roland was shooting the stones, and then later on he was shooting the glass from the ceiling, and he pretty much, it turns out Walter has telekinetic abilities, so he pretty much, instead of the glass falling on him, he's pretty much had that floating, and he was using it, shooting the glass through shards of glass at Roland. Roland was shooting them, each one, of course. So, you know, um, he's it turns out Roland was very agile, of course. And then he started ricocheting bullets, trying to outsmart, trying to outsmart Walter, the Man in Black, of course. So several fail attempts, of course, but so then he he injured Roland. Walter injured Roland, so therefore he was unconscious. Had the ceiling, a bunch of concrete or whatever, falling down on him. So then, just as he was about to go back into the portal and trying to, trying to use try to get the boy to destroy before he's able to go back to his base to get to witness the destruction of that tower that he was almost successful taking down. The boy gave him some motivation, got into Roland's mind, and was chanting, "I do not shoot by my, I do not shoot with my gun," or those who shoot, if I shoot with my gun, I forget the face of my father. I do not shoot with my, I do not aim with my gun. If I aim with my gun, I lose the face of my father, something like that. And then he said, I do not kill with my gun. I kill with my heart. Something like that. So then that gave Roland some motivation, and then he used his one gun that was on the floor. He uses one of his guns, ricocheted the bullet, he was shooting at Walter, but of course he was ricocheted the bullet. Walter caught the bullet, and then while Walter was catching the bullet, he shot another one, and then Walter caught one bullet, but then the other bullet hit him. Therefore, Walter realized that okay, he finally got hit. So then Walter later on, sorry, then Walter, Walter was very surprised. Um, Roland fired another shot, and then another shot. Last bullet went to Walter's head, killing him. So he eventually shoots the machine, and one of the straps or whatever it was that was holding the boy, and then the boy runs free, going back into the portal, back to Earth, and then Walter fires another shot at the machine, blowing up the entire base, destroying that portal. So, oh, by the way, that portal that was used from the village to go to Earth, turns out there was an Easter egg. I caught one of the Easter eggs, and the Easter egg was 1408 because that was a number that the boy needed to punch in or whatever to get back to the village from Earth to the village. So 1408 was the number, just like 19-19 was the one that was used in one of the old abandoned houses that opened a portal to Roland's world. But yeah, 1408 was a reference, of course, referring to one of Stephen King's books, which was later on turned into a movie. So that was one Easter egg that I pretty much caught in the movie. So 1408 was that number. I was like, wait a minute, 1408 was a movie. I never read the books, but I did watch the movie. So I watched most of Stephen King's movies, but I never read the books. So I just want to go on record on that. And but yeah, but after Walter was defeated, they're they are on Earth, and of course, Roland asked the boy to come with him since there was nothing for him on Earth, of course. So the boy was like, okay, he agreed to go with them to Roland's world. So now you're going to have two gunslingers, pretty much. So honestly, I think there's going to be a sequel to the Dark Tower movie, since they have a series of graphic novels and a series of since they have a series of graphic novels which are done by Marvel, and of course the books, a series of books based written by Stephen King, of course. I'm thinking that story is going to continue. So I think Sony did a good job. So like I said, I give it an 8.9 out of 10, and I give it a 89.9 out of 100. So I'm definitely going to get that on iTunes, and it was in my book that was one of Idris Elba's good movies, of course. So, but yeah, I'm going to get more of the. Actually, I'm going to get some Dark Tower graphic novels, and I'm probably going to get some of those books that were written by Stephen King. So that way I'll know more about the Dark Tower series and more about the Gunslinger. So, but yeah, that was it. That's it, pretty much. I enjoyed the movie, so I hope they make more of those. More of the Dark Tower movies. Yeah. So feel free to visit us and like us on Facebook. We are available on iTunes and of course the Google Play Music app.